Once upon a time, in a quaint village surrounded by a dense forest, there lived a sweet little girl named Red Riding Hood. She was called this because she always wore a beautiful red cloak with a hood, a gift from her beloved grandmother. One sunny morning, Red Riding Hood's mother called her into the kitchen. "Your grandmother is feeling unwell," her mother said. "I have prepared a basket of goodies for you to take to her. Remember, stay on the path and do not talk to strangers." Red Riding Hood promised to be careful and set off into the forest, her basket filled with delicious treats and a warm bottle of soup. As she walked, she admired the flowers and listened to the birds singing. The forest was alive with beauty and wonder, and Red Riding Hood's heart was light. However, lurking in the shadows was a cunning wolf. He had been watching Red Riding Hood and saw her as the perfect opportunity for a meal. The wolf approached her with a friendly smile. "Good morning, little girl," the wolf said smoothly. "Where are you off to on this fine day?" Remembering her mother's warning, Red Riding Hood hesitated, but the wolf seemed so kind and curious that she replied, "I'm going to visit my grandmother, who is not feeling well. I'm bringing her a basket of goodies." "How lovely," said the wolf, his eyes gleaming with a plan. "Where does your grandmother live?" "In a little cottage at the end of this path, near the big oak tree," Red Riding Hood answered innocently. The wolf grinned, revealing his sharp teeth. "Well, I'd better not keep you. But why don't you pick some of these beautiful flowers for your grandmother? I'm sure it would cheer her up." Red Riding Hood thought this was a wonderful idea. She strayed off the path to gather flowers, forgetting her promise to her mother. Meanwhile, the wolf dashed ahead to the grandmother's cottage. When he arrived, the wolf knocked on the door. "Who is it?" called the grandmother. "It's me, Red Riding Hood," the wolf replied, mimicking the girl's voice. "I've brought you some goodies." "Come in, dear," the grandmother said. The wolf entered, and before the grandmother could react, he locked her in a cupboard and disguised himself in her nightgown and cap, lying in wait for Red Riding Hood. Soon after, Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage, her arms full of flowers. She knocked on the door and heard the wolf's disguised voice invite her in. She stepped inside and was puzzled by her grandmother's appearance. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," Red Riding Hood said as she approached the bed. "All the better to see you with, my dear," the wolf replied. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," Red Riding Hood continued, her confusion growing. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," the wolf said, trying to keep his voice calm. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have," Red Riding Hood said, stepping closer. "All the better to eat you with," the wolf roared, throwing off the covers and leaping toward Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood screamed, but at that moment, a woodcutter who had been passing by the cottage heard her cry. He burst into the room, wielding his axe, and chased the wolf away. The wolf fled into the forest, never to be seen again. The woodcutter freed the grandmother from the cupboard, and Red Riding Hood hugged her tightly, tears of relief streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, grandmother. I should have listened to mother and stayed on the path.